lawsuit. We'll get to that in a second. Did you watch? I reference you as old and white. You're younger than me, right? And I think you're
by a fair margin,
by a lot, by like 15 years, basically. Did you watch? Did you like it? They did get a record 133.5 million viewers.
Yeah. So, most of the people in my generation, I was talking to a couple of people before this halftime show about their favorite halftime show. And a lot of people that are my age were saying, the Eminem and the 50 Cent and Dr. Dre. I didn't like that one at all. I thought it was like a little bit sad, a little bit old. It wasn't for all sort of generations. I didn't think it was the best one up until this Super Bowl. My favorite was Lady Gaga. I thought she did the best. This was my favorite. Wow. Kendrick Lamar's was my favorite. I thought he knocked it out of the park.
That shocks me.
Me too.
Really?
I thought you might have said you didn't even watch it.
Oh no, I loved it. And I'm not a Kendrick Lamar fan. I've never.
Did you like it because of the music or because it was a protest?
I liked it because of the full artistry of it.
Okay.
I thought the music was really good. I mean, I thought he did a great job live. I thought SZA did a great job live. I thought it all sounded very good. I thought the imagery was awesome. Like, I missed some of it. I was like, oh, is he going Squid Games with this? Is this it looked Squid Games to me. And apparently that's, I guess it's still open for interpretation, but I guess it had to do with like a Sony PlayStation and Sony being the label and all that stuff. And clearly he did so much imagery and put so much time into the art of it that the internet blew up for hours trying to figure out what he exactly was saying. And I think that's awesome, right? I thought he knocked it out of the park.
Was he defamatory? A lot of people thought beforehand, like, you better change up the song about Drake.
Yeah.
And I think that he altered one thing in it. But a lot of people came out and they're like, lawyers are calling. Kendrick, you're in trouble. Let's ask an attorney.
So if he was,
by the way, Drake has already sued, and I don't know if he refiled something else, but
Drake sued the management company and the label. Okay. He didn't sue Kendrick Lamar, basically, and not saying that not going for defamation, but basically saying that the management company was a management company for both of them, and that the management company sided with Kendrick Lamar in putting this stuff out at his detriment. And if they were his management company, they had just as much obligation to him as they did to Kendrick Lamar. So that lawsuit's a completely different animal. That really has nothing to do with the lyrics. If Kendrick Lamar was doing an interview and said the things that are in that song in an interview and they were false, I don't know if they're false or not, and they were false, that's defamation. Well, if it was recorded in his interview, it would be libel because it's permanent. But let's just use defamation. It would be defamation. But there are exceptions to defamation for like bona fide artistry. And so songs typically in the court of law do not have to be 100% accurate in order to avoid defamation, because the laws of the United States and Western countries don't want to inhibit artistic development through and enforce it through the sieve of a court system, which will obviously water it all down and sterilize the artistry to the point where it looks like a legal contract, not a song. So I think the answer is no, you won't see it. It is always interesting to me when I hear about, the NFL and Fox told him he wasn't allowed to say certain things that are in that song because they don't want to be sued. And I'm like, dude, it's an album. It's out there. It's being said all the time. You're no different than every radio station that's playing it out there, every album distributor out there. You don't get more in more trouble for, allowing him to sing an album that's already out there. Obviously, subject to the FEC regulation. So anyway, I don't think that we're going to see that. I think that's a whole bunch to do about nothing. Now, the lawsuit against the management company and label, that's a whole different story. And it has nothing to do with the lyrics of that song.
Justin Watkins, 766-1400 is the number. Reno's in. Got it L775 in the north. I'm curious to see what comes out the next couple of weeks. If there are any more lawsuits. I don't know, there's a lot of conspiracies going on right now. Later on, we're going to get to what's going on in Dallas with the basketball team. and then us getting an NBA team and arenas, and there's there's a whole conspiracy theory there.
Yeah, you guys didn't really flesh that out the other day, but
know.
it got me thinking, and I was like, I've got a conspiracy theory now. So I'm looking
Was that
forward
when we were on Media Row? Well, one person wouldn't talk.
I know. Well, then
so
Griffin, my guy Griffin in here goes, okay, I've got the conspiracy theory. And I thought he was going to go where my head was. And somewhere completely different. You guys never got to it. So I'm happy to get to that subject.
We have to get to it. Everyone in the NFL, all of them can't know. This is not the right way to say it. Someone with the NFL has to know Kendrick Lamar. Like that show can't be shocking.
Yes. Agreed.
Right. So I think a lot of people are like, he did this and it was so, revolutionary, and the revolution was mentioned in it. Like the NFL had no idea, he went rogue. I almost think that there are people around the NFL who are like, man, we kind of need this. Like whatever he's going to do, maybe we need this. Like there are some people who agree with him on what he was saying. I don't it's on a grand scale, but I can't imagine an organization that big, that rich, with that many smart people are like, oh no, who is this guy?
100% no.
Right?
Yeah, 100% no. Like who, even if it's like maybe the top management didn't really know in the lower management set, but
no one tells Roger Goodell
exactly
what he has sung about over the years,
right.
And some of his thoughts, and that it could get political and it could be a protest.
Right. Like you're telling me that some underling at the NFL is making the decision on the halftime Super Bowl performer. No way. Everybody's got to know. That's I have to believe that goes all the way up to the top. And I agree with you. Like we are still talking about that, 4 days later. Good job. Mm-hmm. Whoever booked it, good job. Still talking about it.
Hey, if bottom line is making money and getting viewers.
Yep. Good job.
Got it. And they're going to make more down the road. Okay. Speaking of making money, but like the worst way you can do it.
Yeah.
Not a
great segue. That was a perfect. It's such a great segue.
I hope this is a lesson to people, especially, if you're in Vegas, you should know this happens. Maybe not to this degree, but we've got a band of criminals up on the Strip and downtown, and many of them they might be really, really doing this job, but I was going to say masquerading as prostitutes, right? Who a lot of their mission is, hey, let's get money and rob people, right? And on the ground in New Orleans, I hadn't really seen it much in years past, and maybe I just wasn't paying attention. I go there every October, and last October we went during the week, and you know what the other problem is? I don't go to Bourbon Street when I go there because I've been there, but I spent a lot more time on Bourbon Street, and I noticed from about like 9 o'clock on, the crowds were a little lighter, and it was just like groups of like 2 and 3 women, and a couple of the nights, the SO went to sleep early, and I'm like, I want to walk around Bourbon Street, and I had women coming up to me all the time, like, "Hey, what's going on?" And I'm like, "Okay, hookers, right?" Like, I know that.
Yeah.
Like, I know that. I know I'm not hot, so there's not some random lady coming up to me like, "Hey, let's go."
Silver Fox.
Yeah, there you go. Well, unfortunately, a guy got picked up or picked a lady up. He's dead.
Yeah, and there still needs to be a lot that comes out in this story because
doesn't mean she did it.
It doesn't mean that he picked her up either necessarily.
Oh, good point. We have other stories coming up where it really wasn't a pickup.
Right. I mean, you could
pick up by the guy.
Right. Just gets drugged at the bar, and then off they go, and he has no memory of any of this stuff, and gets robbed that way. So I would, especially with somebody who's passed away, I would lean hard against making any assumptions as to how that night transacted to that point until we get more evidence. The really unfortunate part about this is going on a lot, and the enforcement about it is really, really weak at the moment.
You're right. I'm glad you made that correction before we continue. We're going to take a break. This doesn't necessarily mean guys are I want a hooker, and then they get the worst result out of it. This actually sounds like it could be an organized deal where there's multiple people involved, not just the front person, the prostitute.
This traffic report is brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover.